Welcome into the Saints Postgame show here in Cleveland, the coldest game ever played by the Saints in franchise history, and they're going home with a win, 17-10 over the Browns. Saints definitely wanted to go home, celebrate Christmas with a W. It's the first time this season the Saints have won back-to-back games. It's good momentum coming out of the break. Bye week led to 2 straight wins, and they did it any way that they could. Complimentary football. They established the run game as the game went on, and Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara combined for over 150 yards on the ground, both getting into the end zone. And then defensively, there was an interception by Daniel Sorensen and multiple sacks on the Browns' last drive as they were trying to tie this game up at the end. The Saints are able to come up on top 17-10. Taysom Hill's first run of the game came on the 21st snap of the game. And then from there, it was pretty much all Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara. Taysom Hill now has a new career high in rushing yards, over 490 on the year. He's the highest non-running back in Saints history. That's the highest amount of yards by a non-running back in a season. And there's still a couple games left to go. And then, of course, Alvin Kamara getting into the end zone later in the game. He ties Marcus Colston with 72 touchdowns for a franchise record. So they're both sitting atop the franchise stats right there with 72 touchdowns, and we'll see if AK gets in again. We're standing just outside of the Saints locker room. I can hear the music going. The team is cheering in the locker room, celebrating the win, and I'm sure getting out of the cold weather. It was definitely tough at times. The wind whipping through the stadium affected the pass game, and then also making it kind of hard on the kicking game. Some of the punts, not the usual distance that we expect from punter Blake Gillikin, but he did a great job. And then Will Lutz, he had a few through the uprights himself, a couple extra points, and then a field goal to end the second quarter. It's great to hear the locker room excited. I know a lot of the players talking to them before the game. They didn't want to let on how cold they expected to be and how much they may have been dreading this game, because they all just wanted to focus on winning and beating the Browns. And they were able to do that, and I'm sure that they're going to enjoy going home tonight to, I mean, it's a little warmer in New Orleans, even though I've heard that it's not as enjoyable there as usual. I hope everybody in New Orleans is making it out okay with the weather there. I heard it's about 20 degrees, so yeah, it's a little rough for sure. There were a couple of good moments in this game from Trevor Penny, who was used a lot in the rest of the game as a blocker. A couple injuries with guard Andrews Pete going out in the game early with an ankle injury. He was unable to come back in, so there was some shifting on the offensive line with Cesar Ruiz also going to the injured reserve earlier this week. Penny was a great use as a blocker on the Taysom Hill run in for the touchdown. He absolutely demolished the lead defender in front of Hill and allowed Hill to be able to get in for the touchdown. Looking at some of the stats in this game, Alvin Kamara goes for 76 yards on 20 carries. Taysom Hill goes for 56 yards on 9. David Johnson got in on the run game a little bit with some short yardage runs. He had 16 yards, 7 attempts. Andy Dalton
Guys, just remember, when we start with Coach, we're going to start with people in the room, and then one of us will say we'll switch over to Zoom.
Early in the first half, well, midway through the first half, at the end of the first quarter. And his popular target, Rashid Shaheed, targeted 5 times and made 4 catches for 41 yards, a long of 16. Alvin Kamara actually got in on the receiving game as well. He had a long of 29. It was a short pass over the middle, and he got some of those yards on yards after the catch. So he had 34 total yards through the air. I don't know if you can hear the Christmas music coming out of the locker room here as they're opening the door, but it's been a good Christmas Eve for the Saints. If you have to sit through weather like that and play in it, I think that the only benefit is coming out with a win, and I know they're excited about it. We're waiting to hear from head coach Dennis Allen. I'm sure he'll give us some insight onto how this game unfolded and the feelings after the victory. One of the concerns coming into this game was obviously running back Nick Chubb for the Browns, as he is the 3rd leading rusher in the NFL, yardage-wise, and he has the 3rd most touchdowns. He had 92 total yards on the ground, no touchdowns. Deshaun Watson got the only touchdown for the Browns. He ran in on the first play of the second quarter. So he only had 24 total yards, though, on the ground through the air. He was 15 of 31, 135 yards. His long of 21, he did have that one interception. Daniel Sorensen was able to get the interception off of a tipped ball, and it was pretty great. Alontae Taylor had the pass deflection or the pass breakup, and Sorensen capitalized on it. He ended up running back the interception about 35 yards, so it set up the Saints for a pretty easy score, and then that's when Alvin Kamara was able to get into the end zone a few plays later. Amari Cooper was the leading receiver through the air, 72 yards, 6 catches, 10 targets. His long was 21. I mean, we knew this was going to be a game that came down to the ground for sure because of the weather. And overall, the Saints ran for 152 yards, the Browns 124. Through the air, the Saints had 92 and the Browns 125. Coming up for the Saints after this game is, of course, the game at Philadelphia. That's January 1st. It's a noon central game. It's not supposed to be as cold. I think the weather right now is like 40. So that's actually really good news considering it's another outdoor stadium. And then the Saints will end up the season at home against the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers were beating the Lions by quite a bit earlier today when I checked. And now we're going to hear from happy head coach Dennis Allen.
Ricardo, you got a lot of work to do. Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Start with the people in the room, and then we'll transition to Zoom. Ricardo?
First off, just the run game, getting Alvin Kamara going, and also Taysom Hill. And was that kind of the game plan, considering how the weather was out there?
Yeah, look, that was the plan coming in. Look, the number one thing I want to say is we talked all week about this game was going to be a game of mental toughness, and I thought our guys showed incredible grit. Starting out the game, we went down 10-0, but the way that they fought back, we got the field goal at the end of the first half, come right back out in the second half, get the touchdown, and then after the interception, we're able to take the lead and and then the defense goes out and finishes the game. So, man, I got a lot of respect for all those guys that are in that locker room, and I think they showed a lot of fight today. But yeah, we knew the weather conditions were going to be a big factor, and we knew that we were going to have to be able to run the football and run the football well. And I thought all the guys that we put the ball in their hands did an outstanding job of running the ball.
You think it was key that those last 4 minutes hitting that field goal that said go into the locker room, coming out on that drive and starting the third quarter, that ended with that Taysom Hill touchdown? Felt like that was, you could feel momentum flowing.
Yeah, look, we came back out to start the second half. We had the wind in our favor, and so we knew it was going to be important for us to take advantage of that starting off the second half. And we talked in the locker room about, we got the first part of the double by getting the points at the end of the first half, and we needed to capitalize there at the start of the second half. And our guys did a great job going down there and getting points, and felt like the momentum kind of swung to our advantage at that point.
Is there a reason why it took so long for Taysom Hill to get his carries? I think it was about 27 minutes into the game before he got that first carry there right in that.
No, I don't think so. I know there were some plays earlier in the game where he was involved, and some of them may happen to be read plays or whatever. And but look, I thought we did the things that we needed to do to win the game, and that was run the ball effectively and stop the run pretty effectively on defense. I think they were about 3.9 per carry, something like that. And so I thought we did those two things pretty well. And if you're doing that, then you're generally probably doing something pretty good on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
That final drive, you see Michelle kind of puts the passes together with Amari Cooper and you try to get that stop there. I guess just mentality-wise, what is that going to get that stop? And of course, Carl gets that sack on fourth down.
Yeah, it was awesome. None of these games in this league are ever easy. and so that was a great job by our guys going out and stepping up and making the plays that they had to make to seal the victory. And so I thought that was awesome.
That turnover, that the interception you guys got, that deflection, and Sorensen ended up with it. Just kind of run me through what you saw in that play and how big that interception was, because it didn't move.
Well, I know they were throwing an inside route. I couldn't tell exactly who it was that got their hands on it or how the ball got tipped up. I really just kind of saw it get going into Dan's hands, and then I thought he had a hell of a run back on that play too. So, again, taking advantage of the situation, taking advantage of the wind. Offense did a great job of, it's one thing to get the turnover. It's another thing to get the 7 points off of it. And so that was a huge play in the game and a big part of why we won the game.
I know you touched on it, but the mentality to come in this is not an easy game for anybody to play, cold and there. To come out with a win, to keep this season still alive for this team, what does it say about the guys that you have in that locker room?
Fight, heart, grit. It's what they got. You know what I mean? And that's what the New Orleans Saints have been about. And so, look, I know that the wins haven't come like we had hoped, but our guys have never quit fighting, and that's why I love coaching them. Anything for you guys? I don't know if I really want to answer anything from you guys since y'all didn't make it out here to the cold. Hang on just a second. I can't hear anything. Is there a volume on this thing? All right, try.
Can you hear me, DA?
Unfortunately, I can't, Jeff.
All right. Tell me, how cold was it? I mean, I know you said it's just the mindset and everything, but for you on the sidelines, I mean, how
Cold.
much did this affect the game?
Cold. It was cold, and it was windy. But we gave our equipment staff a game ball for, providing us with enough to at least make it manageable for us. So it was the weather was certainly a factor.
And tell me about how you all prepared during the week. I mean, you mentioned bomb, but
Yeah.
I mean, you all had to have some attention to detail to take this game and the conditions and the consideration leading up to it.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Here's how we prepared for it. We said this game was going to be about mental toughness, and the most mentally tough team was going to win. And then we really didn't talk a lot about it because it was just another distraction to us. And I thought our guys handled it great. It was a little bit of an eye opener when we showed up here and woke up on Friday morning and tried to walk outside. It was pretty tough to stand out there for very long. So, but I thought our guys handled it awesome.
Hey, Dennis, I wanted to ask about that. Yeah, from a mentality standpoint, you guys didn't make too big of a deal out of the weather, but from a strategy standpoint, did you debate how much to let it influence you? It felt like you guys were throwing the ball when you had the wind behind you, then running the ball when you didn't have the wind behind you. You did the thing where you didn't protect their gunners. You chose the wind in the first half. I mean, it felt like the same thing with Cleveland. Maybe they threw too much with the wind behind them. Can you outsmart yourself in a game like this? And did you do a good job of adjusting as it went on?
Yeah, well, look, we knew that the elements were going to be a factor, and so we definitely took those things into consideration. We knew that, there was probably going to be one direction that was going to be a little bit more difficult to kick, to throw, and then we knew that, we'd have a little bit easier time going in the opposite direction. And some of the game strategy deals as we went through the game and game management was really based on, the wind conditions, not necessarily the cold, but the wind conditions.
In hindsight, the first question was, why did you wait so long to get Taysom involved? Was it as simple as maybe we should have just gone run heavy the whole time once you realized how this game played out?
Well, look, I think every time these games you're going to start off with a game plan, and then you're going to have to adjust. And I think our guys did a great job of adjusting. So, we did what we needed to do to win.
Yeah, is Alontae Taylor's like confidence and just like the no panic when the ball's in the air, is that rare for somebody that young? Like that pass in the back of the end zone, you just kind of stay cool with it, causes the interception. Just some of the plays he's making seems like there's some maturity there that's maybe a little rare for a rookie.
Yeah, look, and I think a lot of that starts with confidence. You know, he's got a lot of confidence in himself, and we've got a lot of confidence in him, and so he never panics when the ball's in the air. So it's you know, really good to see, and he's been a welcome surprise, I guess, would be the word to say, you know, in terms of exactly what we've gotten out of him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly, but was Carl in coverage on that last play? Did he drop back before he
well, yeah, but he wasn't really in coverage. It was part of a four-man rush, and we were just trying to get a hit on the tight end because we knew they like to throw the ball to him down the seam. So that's what we were doing on that play, and he did a good job of, you know, executing his job and then coming up and finishing it.
And I mean, specifically in that play, I mean, Deshaun's a quarterback who can move around a bunch. For him to, you know, secure a guy who's pretty slippery there in such a big moment. I mean, you know, what's that say about him as a player?
Well, it says he was able to get Deshaun Watson down. Yeah, look, Carl's a good athlete, and Carl's been a good player for us. So he made a great play in that situation. And look, there was a lot of people that got some, you know, there was some other rush in there that kind of got him out of the pocket.
Hey, Dennis, Mike might have touched on this in his question. You were saying that you didn't want to talk too much about the weather because, you know, you didn't want to make it a big deal. But how much did you guys need to discuss the wind specifically when you were game planning? That kind of seems like a different thing altogether.
Yeah, look, yeah, we kind of covered that a little bit, but that was the major factor in terms of the weather, was really the wind conditions. And honestly, we had no idea. I shouldn't say no idea, but you don't really know exactly what you're dealing with until you actually get into the stadium and see what the wind's going to be like. And, you know, there was certainly one direction where we felt like it affected us more than the other.
And you had said the other day that you felt like Marshawn was closer to playing than he's ever been. How late did that decision go, and kind of, I guess, what ultimately prevented him from being able to play? Yeah,
look, he just wasn't ready to go yet. So we went with the guys that we had that were ready to go, and those guys went out there and performed. So it was awesome to see those guys play.
Dennis, we've been talking about Alvin Kamara's production a lot lately. How impressed were you with his toughness? It seemed like a lot of yards after contact today, especially after he got banged up a little early.
Yeah, he was outstanding today. He ran the ball exceptionally well, ran it tough, you know, put his pads down, got behind his pads. Just hell of a game. I'm going to let you guys talk to him. He's right here.
Yes, indeed.
All right?
Yeah, that was the coldest Saints game in history. Oh yeah, okay, well that's some bullshit. didn't like be the part of that, but nah, I mean, you know, the elements is the elements. We knew it was gonna be cold. Still had to go out and do a job. Got it done.
Was that the game plan? Pretty much knowing how the weather was going to be, how the wind was going to be, that it was going to be a run-heavy type game. It was going to be you and Taysom.
Yeah, I mean, you come into a game like that knowing what the conditions are going to be, and obviously, you know, we came in like, all right, we're going to run the ball, and when it permits, we're going to throw it. You know, it's just kind of like you use your common sense out there. It's not really like a big strategic thing where we talk about it all week. Like, it's just, hey, if the wind is in our favor, we're going to throw the ball. If not, shit, we're going to run it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like one of those things.
How good does it just feel to get into the end zone and score? It was your first rushing touchdown, I think, since week 8. So
Yeah.
Your second rushing.
It's cool. I mean, I'm really more happy about the win. It is what it is. You know, lower touchdown production this year for me, but you know, I think the main goal is just trying to get in the winning column. That's like my main focus. So we won. I'm good.
When you talk about not overthinking it, just kind of playing common sense, was that part of the game plan for Taysom to get his touches later, or were you trying to do like?
Yeah, I think I heard that question twice, and I think it's just it was kind of like the flow of the game. We had some calls that we wanted to call to get Taysom the ball, and we kind of got out of him a few times. I think just how the game was flowing. that's how it went. But we ended up getting him the ball. He took advantage of his touches like he always does. And anytime you can see him and get him going, I mean, that's something we take advantage of. So I think he did well.
The touchdown you scored prior to that, it was a turnover by the defense.
Mhm.
That set up.
Damn.
That had to be a critical play. And
Yeah.
just a turnover that you guys really haven't seen.
Yeah. Shout out to Dan. I don't know who tipped it, but it fell in Dan's hands. He got a little return in. He looked like an offensive player, but that was big. Just getting a takeaway. Because I mean that kind of sparks us as an offense, and when the defense does that, it's up to us to handle our part. So I think we went down and got 7. So that's all you could ask for.
I asked Dennis the same question about just the mentality of this team. It's not easy playing in this weather. It's not easy. And especially with the way the season hasn't turned out,
Mm-hmm.
you still have, a slimmer hope. It's kind of hard to play in this type of games. What does it say about that group to come out and be able to do it?
Man, we're not looking at playoff chances, playoff hopes. We out here playing football. We got a job to do, and that's win every Sunday, regardless of the elements, regardless of circumstance, whatever it is. Who's hurt, who's up, who's down. We coming out and trying to get a win however we can. So that's kind of the flavor and the swag of this group. Like, shoot, we just trying to go out and find a way to win. We did that today, and we're gonna keep trying to do that for the rest of the season. And wherever we end up, that's where we end up. And I know for me, and I know for those guys in there, like the leaders and the captains, I know we're not looking at, we got to make the playoffs. We're looking at, let's get this win, which we did today, and next week we're gonna try to get another win. The last week we're gonna try to get another win, and where the cards fall, they fall. Yep.
Hey, Alvin, what about your mentality? I mean, I know we've been talking about the frustration of trying to get you loose the last time we talked to you. Looked like you were fighting for a lot of extra yards today. Were you fired up for a game that was about every yard mattered like this?
I was really more fired up to get back to the heat on the sideline. But we plan going in, we knew we were going to run the ball, so I was definitely excited about that. Taysom was excited. The O-line was excited about that. I think we were able to get some good runs going, and obviously helped us in the long run. I think everybody I think is kind of not looking at the obvious. It keeps the clock moving, and in a game like that, you got to take advantage of those possessions. So a takeaway is big. Going down and scoring getting those 3 points before halftime is big, and being able to get the ball back, going into the second half, and then going down and being able to go get points and do what we need to do. I mean, it's huge. So, man, it was just good to get out there and get into some of those situations and take advantage of them.
And then obviously you had the really big pass play on, I think it was a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. We've kind of been scratching our heads at why you're coming off the field on a lot of 3rd and 3s and 3rd and 4s. Is some of that, do you think, the pass protection issue you mentioned the other day, or why?
Nah, I don't think that is. I don't know. You gotta ask somebody else. I don't know. I don't got an answer for that.
Hey, Alvin, what was your reaction when you saw Carl make that kind of game-clinching sack there at the end?
Who? I'm sorry.
When you saw Carl Granderson make
man, that's Carl. That's Grando. He gonna make a play. I mean, he talented, like Da said. He's a talented dude. He make plays when he needs to. And I know he was hype about it. He was over there celebrating with the guys. So, I mean, when you got players step up and make plays in big time situations, big time games, I mean, shoot, that's all you ask for him to make it.
Sometimes you see teams kind of check out when there's adversity and things are kind of going against them, but you guys haven't, and you keep fighting. Why do you think that is, that this team has that kind of in their DNA?
I mean, that's what we're used to. I don't think we're used to. Obviously this year we've been in the losing bracket more than we've been in the winning bracket. So I think all of us know that we got a winning pedigree. So it's always week in and week out trying to find a way to get back to the winning ways. So nobody in here is a loser. We don't have a losing cloth in here. We're not built by losing bricks. We all have winning bricks. We're used to winning. We're used to that feeling. So I think everybody's desire to get that feeling is way, way, way higher and way more than just the desire to just fold and get ready for next year. So we're just gonna keep going and keep trying to win.
And is that important, kind of like just for the future going forward, just like maintaining a culture where kind of that giving up and stuff isn't tolerated?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's a acceptable mindset to have in this organization. And that starts from the top. So I think we do a good job of not weeding those guys out. You know, if you got that mentality, you won't be here.
Yeah,
Dennis talked about Dennis talked about just being mentally tough in the conditions like they were today.
Mm-hmm.
During the game, did you feel like this is more about mentally tough than physically tough?
I got my own kind of thesis on that. It's cold. It's nothing. It's nothing that's gonna make it not cold out there. So you know, we got a job to do. We got to play. If I told you my mind overcame the cold out there, I'll be lying. It was cold the whole time. It was cold when I had the ball. It was cold on the sideline. It was cold when I was walking in the tunnel. It was cold when I was walking out the tunnel. You know, we just had to find a way to win. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like early in the game there were some issues with the snap and passes being deflected off people's hands. I assume that has to be related to the weather. So can you kind of describe what it's like to try to catch the ball in these conditions?
I don't know how many miles per hour the wind was, but that would be something that would affect the ball placement, snaps, everything. So, you know, I think there's some plays we had some pitches and some other things in the game plan that, you know, like I said earlier, common sense would tell you not to do that because the ball will be affected by the wind. So I think, like you said, there were some plays that the ball was affected, and obviously that's a weather thing.
I was curious because people have said before it makes the ball feel as hard as a rock when it's like that. So I didn't know if that was the case at all today as well.
I think it's just more so the wind kind of affecting the trajectory of the ball, honestly. Yeah.
Hey, Alvin, DA said y'all gave a game ball to Bum. I'm just curious, how did he and his staff maybe help you guys?
Bumming them was colder than us. But Bum, Corey, all those guys, Richie Rich, Ryan, all them dudes, man, they handle their business every week. You know, I mean, they go above and beyond. Like, for something as small as, man, I've changed the dang chin liner on my chin strap every 2 seconds. Like, they're there at a drop of a dime, and, you know, like, it's just whenever we could take care of those guys, we try to. And you know, DA just giving them a shout-out, giving them a game ball, I mean, that means a lot, you know, because I think those my guys, man. I let them do to death. They do a lot more work than we do. When we landed, they had to come set up the locker room. You know what I'm saying? They get up in the morning and come and make sure everything's good. Conditions, field, helmets, equipment, everything. You know, if we didn't have them, nothing would move. Literally nothing will move in this organization. So definitely shout out to Bum and them. They need more than a game ball.
Did you wear anything special? Did it help? Anything?
I got on the wetsuit. I don't know if y'all see it. It's a wetsuit. I had on the wetsuit sleeves. It was still cold, so I don't know how special it is.
Hey, Alvin, we've seen a lot of snaps for Trevor Penning here over the course of the past couple of weeks. Had a couple of highlight moments today. Can you just tell us a little bit about what it's been like running behind him since he's gotten a little bit more involved?
He's just a nasty baby. Like, he a nasty baby, dog. Like, I think, you know, the more experience, I mean, this is like, what is this, his third game, I think, suiting up? Or second, I don't know how many games it is, but yeah, third game. I mean, he's coming along. Nobody better than Streif to talk crap in his ear and tell him he's not good enough when he's not doing good enough, or to tell him, you know, he has more in the tank. But I think he's catching on to it, and he's welcoming he's embracing the suck. You know, there's some growing pains that come with going out there and playing. You know, and he's just catching on, and you know, basically just finding his rhythm, finding his tempo. So definitely excited to see him progress.
Alvin, I want to make sure I quote you right. What did you say? Embracing what was
embracing the suck. He's embracing like his process, like the suck. You know, like, you know, sometimes he might get beat, sometimes he might not have the right foot in or whatever, but you know, he's embracing it. I think it's never a time where you see him get too high or too low. He just want more.
I thought that's what you said. I didn't want to let that one go and
yes,
just
indeed.
chalk it up to me hearing it wrong.
Yeah, appreciate y'all.
Yeah, Alvin, we have Taysom.
Alvin goes over. Merry Christmas. Taysom, I will start. Everybody just talks about how difficult it is in these conditions, just to kind of mentally have that focus. What does it take to kind of play in an atmosphere like this? Because it is not pleasant.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about that this is a game that's going to require a little more effort, a little more focus as we got ready to prepare for this game, and I think going in with the right mindset, right, where we knew we weren't going to throw the ball a ton, and to make sure that your expectation and your mindset was ready for a game like this. And I thought as a team, everyone handled it very well.
First 2 runs you had 11 yards, 16 yards, so some big chunk plays to start for you. Was there an effort to get you going earlier before that, or basically why did it take until that last drive before the half to kind of get you some plays?
Yeah, look, I think that's a question for the guys upstairs. I don't think that we necessarily had a plan or a goal or a mindset. I think my carries came when they came.
You and Kamara were able to kind of get that run game sparked. Did you kind of feel that kind of wearing on that Browns defense as you got to the second half? You guys were able to kind of impose your will in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think in a game like this, when you can line up and they know you're going to run the ball and you can still run it successfully, man, that's a good feeling as an offense. And I felt like up front, receivers, everyone, man, they had the right mindset going into this game. And those guys, won us the game. And, Alvin and myself were beneficiaries of those guys doing everything they needed to up front to allow us to run the ball.
How good is it for an offense to get a short field when you had that interception the prior with Daniels Winston coming up with that? And
huge.
How that sets you guys
Yeah,
up?
it's huge. Yeah, I think going into this game, as we talked about the right mindset and everything else, we knew that this was going to be a field possession game as well. And defensively, that's what they did, and we put them in a bad situation early, and they gave it back to us. And I felt like this win felt really good because it took everybody, special teams, defensively, offensively, and everyone made plays when they needed to.
Well, why hasn't that locker room, and does it say more to your guys of who's in there? Why hasn't this locker room seem like, hey, the chances of making postseason aren't here. It hasn't gone our way this year. It doesn't look like that locker room's quit, and it hasn't, and it shows up today.
No, I think that it starts leadership. I think from coaching staff, ownership, to players. I think that everyone set an expectation that we haven't played as well as we would have liked to. We haven't won as many games as we were planning to and hoping to, obviously, this year. But that doesn't change the way that we prepare, the way that we go and play this game. And at the end of the day, we're all prideful players, and we care about the product that we put out on the field. And putting the Saints uniform on means something, and that's at the root of it.
Anything else for Taysom?
All good, guys.
All right. We're going to have Carl Granderson and Andy Dalton. Just hang tight.
Carl, walk me through that sack on fourth down, kind of moving some play there. It looked like it was still a four-man rush, but you kind of chipped the tight end a little bit.
Yeah.
Just kind of walk me through that play.
Yeah, so I just listened to my linebacker. He needed some help out there, so I went to go help him out, and then I fell back in the rush. And then, Marcus Davenport did a wonderful job keeping containment, and that allowed the quarterback to step right into me. So I had to get him on the ground to end the game.
When you're in that last drive and they're kind of putting down a couple first downs, kind of stringing that last drive for them to try to tie it, what does it take as a defense, just mentality-wise, to kind of say, hey, we got to hold the line here?
Yeah, it started off with practice throughout the week. We came in knowing that we had to stop the run, and it was going to be cold, but it was a mindset that we came in ready to stop the run and get out there and have some fun. So that last drive was just, leading up to the last drive, the first, second, and third quarter. So we came in, we've been holding them all game, and we had to have a huge fourth and short, and we stopped them to get a ball back to the offense.
You talk about that mindset, and I saw you and Tano pregame with no shirts on. Who came up with that idea? Why do that when it's like 3 degrees outside.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really an idea. You know, I went to Wyoming, so this was nothing new for me. It's all a mindset. So if you come in thinking it's going to be cold, it's going to be cold. So I wanted to get out there and adjust to the weather and go with no shirt on. And Tano, he joined me. So he he was in KC. It wasn't nothing for him. So we had to warm the bodies up and, you know, get the mind ready to play a big game.
That was crazy and insane, but it seemed like it also worked because it gets this defense in the right mindset. And I guess that's what you kind of get going with.
Yeah, defensive mindset. See, it wasn't even cold. I'm not even gonna lie, it wasn't cold. My hands was cold. I'll be honest about that, but it wasn't cold. You know, it was a hell of a game, and the equipment staff they did a wonderful job preparing us with the nice gear and the gear that we need for the cold. So shout out to them.
Yeah, and they got a game ball as well for that.
Yeah.
How big was it for you guys to get that turnover that kind of, you know, got this team rolling? And those takeaways haven't come for you guys for most of this year. How big was that to get that?
Yeah, that was very big. You know, like I said, it's a process. It started in practice. You know, they haven't been coming this season, but you never know when they're going to come. So you just got to be ready, and the next man got to be up and take advantage of your opportunity.
What does it say about that locker room? Just this is not the easiest game to play in, and considering where the season is right now, it's kind of, you know, to get motivated to play in this and really want to win this. It could be difficult looking at the outside, but what does that say about the locker room?
Yeah, that's a family. We're a family in the locker room. Nobody can never get let down. We can't point the fingers. You know, we a family. We one group. You know, the offense and the defense, we come together at the end of the day. So the offense did a wonderful job, you know, running the ball, giving us good field position, and we came as a defense and met them halfway. So we got to stay united and keep going because you never know how the season going to turn out.
If there's any.
Hey, you said shout out to the equipment staff. What was your favorite piece of equipment that helped you be able to have something left 4 hours into the day?
Man, my favorite equipment was the hand warmers. You know, I put them all in my socks and stuff like that. But you know, throughout the weeks they had the body suit, the silky body suit. I didn't wear one of those, but I knew it was gonna be a cold game, and some of the guys had those on, and it helped them out.
Hey, Carl, just when you're in that situation at the end of the game, you know, Deshaun is obviously a quarterback who moved around a bit, but it's kind of, is there anything running through your mind as you're coming up to him making a game-clinching play there?
Yeah, wasn't a lot running through my mind. I was just running around like my head was chopped off or something. But you know, I came in trying to stop the run. That's what we do. We a good run-stopping team. And at the end of the game, we just had to make a big play with the sack. So we knew that Deshaun Watson was very versatile, and we wanted to keep him inside. So that's what we did all game.
Carl, I haven't had a chance to watch the tape, so I can't remember if this was you on this play or not. But the one where he threw it to the end zone and Amari Cooper ended up dropping it, were you on the field for that play?
Yeah, I was on the field.
Am I right? I mean, we've seen this a number of times from you guys where, you know, you're worried about an elusive quarterback and not let them escape the pocket. Like you kind of choose to just sort of hover instead of attack on a play like that and make sure he doesn't have a rushing lane. Is that kind of frustrating to do, but did that ultimately work out well for you, not letting him escape much today?
Yeah, we were just trying to come in and do our job, you know, and keep him in the pocket. So that was an extended play. We kept him in the pocket, but, you know, we gotta get to him at the end of the day. You know, that was a big play, and we got off the field after that play. But, you know, we just got to get to him, take the tackle high and come underneath and make the sack. So we did our job on that play, not letting them contain, but we got to get to the quarterback next time.
Anything else for Carl?
But, yeah, I'm just going to follow up because, I mean, obviously you guys potentially could be playing Jalen Hurts. I mean, what is that like for a defensive end to balance that when you have two things going on? Don't let him escape, but don't let him stay there. Like, is that a real tough balance for a pass rusher?
It's only tough if you make it tough. We got to come in ready to stop the run at the end of the day and have some fun. We can't come in thinking too much. Everybody got to do their job, and we got to continue to ball out as a defense and give the offense good field position. So we just got to contain them like we did today. Just contain Jalen Hurts, and we're going to be well off.
Thanks, Carl.
Appreciate you.
Carl, appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Thank you, Carl.
This is going to be Shaheed breaking free. Dalton protected well over the middle, completes. It's David Johnson. But it will indeed be Gillikin on the punt. Donovan Peoples-Jones will let this one bounce inside the 5. Just master throw and catch to Rashid last week. Hill faking. Hill's going to run for it again. Hill gets down to the box. Kamara, first down Saints. Kamara looking for more. Browns hasn't been on the field. Read option play. This is Taysom Hill, and he bangs it in for the Saints touch. Hill now at quarterback, takes the direct snap. Hill finding his seam. That's his first. At the services of Marshawn Lattimore. Watson's pass broken up and intercepted. Picked off. And the Saints in business. Sorensen. Back to the ground game with Kamara. Bounces off a would-be tackler, and he's in for this. Just a couple of weeks back, 4th and 10. It comes down to this for Cleveland. 23 seconds. Watson all day to throw. Now here they come, and they bury him. Carl.
When you go into the game plan offensively, is it as simple as, hey, when we're with the win, let's maybe take advantage of some throws, when we're against it, let's see. Is it kind of that simple when you're approaching a game like this?
Yeah, for sure. And I think when you get to a certain part of the field, you know when you can throw it down the field a little more versus when you're with the wind and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, all that played a factor today.
How big, obviously, run game was huge for you guys, having Alvin and Taysom kind of pick up the slack in terms of getting offense going. How big was their contribution to that?
Oh, it was huge, especially when you get into a game like this with the weather and the conditions and everything. I mean, that's exactly what we needed to have happen today. The line played really well up front, gave us a chance, and we ran the ball exactly how we wanted to.
Throwing the football, I know you played in weather like this before, but how was it today? Was it for you to throw in this? And you were able to complete some big throws. I'm thinking the one with Alvin on that big 3rd down, and Rashid on a couple of underneath routes that you were able to hit him on. How was it for you throwing in this game?
Yeah, no, I felt like I was able to put the ball kind of where I wanted it to today. Obviously, the conditions played a factor in it, but yeah, I mean, we had some chances on some other ones but we could have made as well.
What does it say about that locker room? This is not the easiest game to play in when it's one of the coldest games in Saints history to play in terms of temperature. But having the mentality to battle through this, and also the fact that you still keep your season alive.
Right. I mean, it shows a lot for what this team is made of, and it's one of those games that we could look back on and say, this was a big game in the season that got us to where we wanted to be. And like you said, we're still alive, and so we got to keep controlling what we can control and see what happens from there.
I think the 2 interceptions, yours and Deshaun's, both were kind of like off deflected. You had your receiver in the hit. What happened on yours to Jawan that ended when they break up? Was it just kind of one of those?
Yeah, when the ball gets popped in the air, it more than likely than not, it doesn't find the ground. So, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate.
But in turn, you guys get a turnover when it's 10-10. How big was that to set you guys up?
Yeah, the turnover was big, and then to be able to go down and score a touchdown on that drive too, and not kick a field goal. I mean, that changes the game.
Andy, was there a drastic difference between going one way and going the other way when it came to throwing the ball today?
Yes, there was. I mean, when you were against the wind, I felt like there was. You could definitely tell. And the way it was today, you could go out there at times and you didn't feel like the wind was a factor, and then it would gust, and you just didn't know when the gusts were going to happen.
Was that specific on that last Kirkwood one that almost kind of hit him in the helmet? I mean, did that feel like it was going to the exact spot and then it almost kind of got rejected by the wind at the last second?
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's unfortunate. I felt like it was in a good spot, and then at the last second, I think the ball moved.
And is it also hard to throw with the wind at your back? It looked like both teams had a couple sail on you.
Well, I think when you're throwing the ball down the field, you have to calculate the wind, and that has to play a factor in where you're throwing it. And so, I mean, definitely when you got the wind at your back, I mean, the ball's going to travel a lot farther.
Andy, were you able to kind of feel like a sense of confidence even when you guys got down in that 10-0 hole early, that you're just going to kind of figure something out today?
Absolutely. I think that's just kind of the mindset that we had going into today, that we were going to do whatever it takes to win. And, even though we were down, we went out right before half and got 3 points, and then coming out and starting the second half strong like we did. I mean, that was that kind of changed the momentum in the game.
Anything
We
else
good?
for Andy?
All right.
I got one more if you don't mind, Andy. I know you've said it in the past, but you don't mind leaving the field when Taysom comes in. And obviously a game like today, like Taysom, seems like he's kind of designed for this sort of thing. So just how impressive was it just kind of watching him bully his way into the end zone and just kind of carry the team offensively for a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think he's, like I said from the beginning, he's a big part of this offense. And, I mean, even his touchdown run, it wasn't like it was completely clean. And so, happy to come off the field when we're scoring touchdowns.
Andy, I had one more too. You guys gave the equipment guys a game ball. What was the most one or two important things they contributed to this week? Any specific piece of equipment that made a big difference for you?
I think there were a lot of factors that were involved with them getting a game ball. I mean, when you come into a game like this, especially being in New Orleans where you're not playing very many games with cold weather and all the factors, I mean, they did an unbelievable job. They had everybody prepared. And so I wouldn't say there's one thing that they did, but, I mean, hats off to them because they made our job easy out there. All right.
Andy, thanks, man.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Let them know.